right, my name is Denise Aver Phillips, and I'm the Vice President of Community Outreach here at CC Young. And on behalf of all of the folks here today, our employees, our vendor partners, our great community partners, and the Board of Directors, we welcome you to CC Young. And now it's my honor to introduce Dr. Don R. Benton, CC Young's Coordinator of Pastoral Care and Chairman of CC Young's Foundation for Body, Mind, and Spirit, to deliver our invocation this morning.
Let us pray. Eternal, ever-loving, Creator God, how grateful we are that you created us in your image to be creative. And thus today we celebrate those who have expressed their creativity so that we might enjoy with them what they have done and using the gifts that you have given them. We're grateful for CC Young, for its commitment to compassion and caring, especially for those who are aging. And we pray that each of us, being blessed today by what we share, will be a blessing where we touch life when we've left here, because it has been enriched by your presence and our presence to each other. So give us your blessing, and we'll give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Benton. My name is Brian Parman, and I'm the director of the Point and Pavilion. All right. I want to thank and recognize some great team members who made today possible. Victoria Jones, Jennifer Griffin, Angela Castillo, Kevin Nelson. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And Denise Aver Phillips, my mentor today. But I'd also like to thank the following attendees for their support of CC Young and this special project. Dr. Don R. Benton, Chairman of CC Young's Foundation for Body, Mind, and Spirit, and Pastoral Care Coordinator. Carol Butler, publisher of The Senior Voice, and she brought 4 guests today. You guys want to raise your hand? The Honorable Mark Clayton, Dallas City Council, District 9. Thank you for being here. Tom Christian, CC Young's liaison on our pastoral care team. Kathy Cothram, CC Young Foundation for Body, Mind, Spirit, board member. Willie Cothram, CC Young, Board of Directors, and former board chair. Leah Fisher, reflectionist and artist represented by Samuel Lynn Galleries. She and her husband, J.D. Miller, were so gracious to host us yesterday at their gallery down on Dragon Street, and it was just an incredible event and time to spend with John Henry for some very special folks who are award winners, and a treat for myself. It was great. And if you've never been to their gallery, I highly suggest you check it out. It was a fun day. Of course, John Henry, our featured speaker today, and a new friend. I had such a great time getting to know you yesterday, and thank you for sharing your work with us. Anita Hullum, Umphris Terrace board member and the former president of CC Young's Resident Council. Thank you, Anita. Nancy Ann Hunt, CC Young Board of Directors and CC Young's Foundation for Body, Mind, and Spirit. Pam King, the Dallas Arboretum grant writer. Becky Prince and Ron Prince, our friends from the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Dallas. Becky's their president, and she brought her husband Ron today, and unfortunately they weren't able to stay with us, but they did enjoy the show, and we're so glad to partner with them. Susan Drake Rogers, CC Young's Board of Directors, and Richard Stanford, a CC Young legend and golden child. If there's an event that happens here with Richard, I can guarantee you this room is full like today, although I'm a little overwhelmed by all the faces that are here, and hello in the theater, and out in the lobby. We're so glad you're all here. And then Heidi Wagner, photographer and creator of the Passions Project. Heidi, I was grateful to know you were here today, and I want you to know that she'll be exhibiting here in October of 2017, so be on the lookout. It's going to be an incredible show. But at this time, please help me welcome the Honorable Mark Clayton to the podium.
Good morning. You know, I was talking to our keynote speaker today, and he was asking me how long I've been elected, and I answered, that it's been about 6 months or long enough to where I still get kind of queasy when somebody calls me honorable. So now I tried to get my wife to call me honorable. See, all the women laughed, so they know exactly how this thing is. So thank you guys so much for hosting me today. When Russell and Denise had told me about the event, I was so excited to get to come. CC Young, this is such a wonderful facility and such a great community of people. And, one of the really neat things that, has been particularly special about being on city council is I was really lucky because I had won, without a runoff. And so, I got to meet the mayor, and he said, well, what do you want to do? And, I told him I wanted to be on housing. I'm really concerned about poverty. And so I got on all these committees, and he made me vice chair of the arts, cultures, and libraries. I am the worst artist ever. And I have a 5 and a 7-year-old, so most of the time, if it's not the Wiggles or a cartoon, that's about their level. But, what's been so fulfilling about this, you don't have to be an artist to know that art makes cities go, and that a city doesn't have a soul if it doesn't have a vibrant art scene. That's the plumb line for success. Before I came here today, I was down at the Morton Meyer Symphony Center seeing some young artists in action. And now I'm coming to this to where I have some less young artists in action. But how fantastic is that? And what does it say about our city that on a Saturday morning, it's drizzly outside, you can do all of that? So I just want to tell you, one, thank you for allowing me to be here. Two, thank you for participating. The works of art that are out there are just fantastic. And more fantastic is the fact that you have a facility and a mechanism to be able to do that, and a place that encourages it and celebrates it. And whether you're in first or not in first, you know what? You got to have fun doing it. So anyway, thank you so much. And thank you, too, for allowing me to serve you. It has truly been an honor, and it is more of an honor when I get to do things like this. So thank you so much.
Let's give him one more round of applause. All right, before we begin, I need to tell people about my footwear today. So, earlier today, I was walking around with shiny red shoes on. However, these special boots are a nod to our very special guest here, who I got the honor of meeting on Grandparents' Day last year. We flew him in to open our great sculptural pavilion, and it was a theme of all cowboys. So I rocked these boots. He remembered the boots. The boots are on today. Now I'd like to, moving on from footwear. We're not here about that. If you take out your program and just go to the back, I want to call your attention to Enrich Life DFW. Something relatively new here at CC Young, but very, very dear to our hearts. The mission is to promote and provide enriching experiences through arts and cultural events to all age 55 and better. So we've partnered with 14 different arts and cultural organizations around the Metroplex. We've created a very simple web portal which showcases many of these great events that all of these organizations are hosting around the DFW area, not just Dallas, but we've included Fort Worth too. And how do you learn about all the great events, the specials that are offered throughout the year, like free tickets to the Dallas Summer Musicals, as well as how to use DART to get to many of these event locations? All you do is you go out to, and you use your computer, or your iPad, or your iPhone, you go out to www.enrichlifedfw.org, and you register. And once you register, we'll send you periodic emails about all these great events that are going on around town. And it's not really just for those of you in the audience that are 55 or better. We don't make you click a box that say, yes, I'm 55 or better. But a lot of these events are great for families. So consider an intergenerational event. I know my family, a lot of my family is here today. So this is an intergenerational event for myself and my other half. So we encourage you to do that. Just it won't take more than a minute to do. So now it's my honor to introduce Russell Cruz, our president and CEO.
Well, we want to congratulate all the winners. Certainly want to congratulate all the participants. And everybody that participated is a winner here. So we look forward to you continuing your participation in our future events. C.C. Young Memorial Home, which we really go by C.C. Young now, started back in 1922. So we've been around 94 years, been around a long time. And we plan to be around a lot longer. And back in 2013, we started a strategic plan, and we finished it in December 2014. And we really wanted to create the vision and the future for C.C. Young for the next 10 to 15 years. And out of that strategic plan came a master plan. And that master plan has 6 phases. And those phases will really help C.C. Young rebalance a lot of our levels of care. We wanted to get to where we had more independent living, assisted living, and memory care relative to our skilled nursing capacity, and that's really what that master plan will let us rebalance that. So we are very excited, and we believe this is the future of senior living, and we have developed a concept called the Vista. And so everybody wants to know, what is the Vista? And the Vista is really how we see senior living evolving in the near future. One of the things we have found are that the distinct differences between the different levels of care, independent living, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, rehab, they're all starting to get blurry. And those distinctions aren't as distinct as they used to be. So we want to develop the Vista that will allow us to serve the needs of our residents in the short term, but also in the long term. And we believe the Vista will do that. It's going to let us overcome some of our limitations that we have currently. Right now, we can provide skilled nursing in Lockyer Point East and West. We can provide memory care in the Cove. And we can provide assisted living in the Blanton Assisted Living Building. But if we need to adjust, if we need to have more or less capacity, we really can't do that. We can't accommodate that. The Vista is our vision of how to overcome those limitations. And it will allow us to integrate those different care levels, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, rehab, into one facility so that when we need to adjust to differences in the market demands, we don't have to rebuild a new building. We don't have to go get different licensing from the state. We don't have to make any modifications. We can adjust this building because it's going to have multi-levels, and they're all going to be very resident-friendly neighborhood environments. They'll have 2 16-unit neighborhoods on each floor, and we'll be able to adjust those different levels to any care level that we need. And it's very different, and it was so unique and different that we went to Texas Department of Disability and Aging Services with our architects to make sure they would buy into this concept, because really that's not what's being done in senior living. And after our architects left the meeting with TDADS was very on board, and they were excited, and they hope that's the trend in the future for senior living. So we're excited about how we've developed this vision and the concept. This building's a lot more than just a building. It's going to actually transform not only our campus, but really senior living in the future. We had our investment bankers in town that want to provide the financing for us, and they walked away just stunned and actually blown away with both our design, our concept, our thinking, forward thinking, where we want to go. And so it just reaffirms a lot of what we've done the last year in designing this building. And then everybody always asks me, well, when are we going to see the Vista? And it won't be soon enough. But we are underway. We started some of the preliminary construction activity, and we will, by late October, really start the most significant part of the construction for the new Vista building. So we're very excited about what's going on here on campus. And one of the things that we've not had on campus is a swimming pool. And everybody's always amazed, why don't we have a swimming pool? I've never really had a good answer, but we haven't. But we went around the country looking at different communities and different therapy rehab facilities, and some are just standalone, dedicated to therapy and rehab, and some are well known across the country, and we went to see what do they do, and how is that going to fit into what we want to do. And one of the things we want to do is build a therapy and rehab capacity that will rival anyone nationally, and I believe we've done that. You don't see the picture of our new therapy area, but it's going to be about 5,500 square feet. Our current therapy area is about 2,500 square feet. The therapy area will have a walking loop. It'll have half vehicle for training purposes, and practice stairs, and practice kitchens, and practice bathrooms. It's going to be an extensive therapy area, and it'll also allow us to have a separate outpatient therapy. So we want to also attract people from the community. What this pool allows us to do is we'll have an area where our residents can swim 40-foot laps. They wanted to have the ability to use the pool for more than just therapeutic purposes, so we'll be able to have some recreational aspects of this pool. The pool itself is about 1,400 square feet. As you come down, there's a walking entrance into the pool, and then there's another area where you can walk down into a deep water area where we can do more robust aquatics where you don't even actually touch the bottom of the pool. And in the middle, we're going to have a resistance walk where we can adjust the level of resistance depending on how much resistance we need for whichever person's in the pool at that time. And in the middle of the resistance walk will be an underwater treadmill. So we're going to have an extensive ability to provide therapy from an aquatic perspective. And we went to one of the leading therapy communities up in Minneapolis, and their therapy pool happened to be just the center of that underwater treadmill. So we walked away thinking we are really going to be out front in the senior living area with this kind of capacity that we're building. And we'll also have some changing rooms that a lot of communities don't have, so that it's accessible and easy for our residents and to get into the swimming pool. So that is the limit on my time. I've been limited. I could go for days. It's so exciting. Actually, haven't been able to sleep much recently because we're so excited. But that is it for today. So again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to turn it back to Denise.
Thank you, Russell. All I can say, it is, in capital letters, an exciting time to be at CC Young. Whether you work here, whether you live here, whether you're a family member of mine, I'm telling you, it is a fabulous time to be associated with CC Young. So Mr. Henry, our guest, his full bio is in your program today, and I'm going to do my best to just hit some of the highlights. So certainly I want to give him more time with the microphone. John Henry is known worldwide for his large-scale public works of art, which grace numerous museum, corporate, public, and private collections. His works are prominently exhibited in many American cities and states, as well as throughout Europe and Asia. Mr. Henry has shown his work extensively since the early 60s and exhibits a distinctive and definitive trademark style that's recognized internationally. His works range in scale from small tabletop pieces to this piece right here, which now is downtown Dallas. Really, some of the largest contemporary metal sculptures in the entire world. While identified by some in the 70s as part of the minimalist movement, that's hard to say, the geometric forms that have defined his work for more than 40 years have their aesthetic and historical base in constructivism. He attended the University of Kentucky, University of Chicago, and the Art Institute of Chicago, where he received a Ford Foundation grant, the Edward L. Ryerson Fellowship, and earned a BFA. He earned an honorary Doctor of Arts from the University of Kentucky in 1996. As a visiting professor of sculpture, Mr. Henry has taught in many universities. He's been an active participant in promoting the arts all over the states, and my guess is over the world as well. He was a founding member of Construct, the artist-owned gallery that promoted and organized large-scale sculpture exhibits throughout the U.S. And on the C.C. Young campus, we have a special connection to him. His work was the inspiration for our sculpture pavilion. So hopefully as you came in today, you took just a quick minute, and if you didn't, on your way out, you'll take another, maybe longer minute to really appreciate that piece of sculpture, which is so unique. But his work was the inspiration for that piece that was gifted to us. We're so lucky. He's now the curator of the Outdoor Museum of Art at Chattanooga State College, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And truly, off script, Brian's already said it, but yesterday, Mr. Henry and the Samuel Lynn Galleries, along with Leah Fisher and her husband, J.D. Miller, opened their doors to us. We took a bus full of residents who won in our contest, and he took extra time with us and really told us about the piece that is downtown now. It's graced our presence since October of last year, and it was truly an honor to get to know you a little bit better. And that little extra time that he shared with us was truly something that was selfish on my part, but I got to share it with other people. So we appreciate that very, very much. And now I'd like everyone to welcome Mr. John Henry.
Thank you, Denise. And Denise, I really love your boots. Well, it's great to be back here at C.C. Young. And I just walked through the hall a few minutes ago, the gallery. And the exhibition out there is truly remarkable. I was thinking, I wonder if I could get in this exhibition. And I will tell you that I know that the jurors were a secret, but I can tell you this, the jurors made some mistakes. Because among the pieces that did not get an award, there's an awful lot of good work there as well. So, you all are to be congratulated. Denise asked me to say some words about public art. I have had close to 50 years now a love-hate relationship with public art. Public art is kind of a, first of all, you have to define it. What is public art? Public art is any work of art that there's public access to. Doesn't necessarily mean that the piece was funded by the public. Tax dollars don't necessarily go into all works that are accessible by the public. I remember years ago when we would talk about public art, somebody would always raise their hands and say, my tax dollars paying for that? And we would say, look, if it offends you that your tax dollars are paying for it, reach in your pocket and give them a quarter. This is your quarter back, so you don't have to worry about it. You didn't pay for it. But a brief history of public art goes back thousands of years. Art has been in the public domain since the Egyptians and before that. The Sphinx, is an incredible piece of public art that the Egyptians adored for years and years. And of course the pyramids, even though they had a function, they became works of art. The Renaissance, of course, we're all familiar with, and all of the incredible public sculpture that was done during that period. And to say a little bit about patronage and how that worked in the early years, the Pope was a great curator, and he did a great job, the various popes did a great job in putting together public collections of art. And then in our country, going back 150 to 200 years, the collections that we have in the major museums in our country were all a result of the philanthropy and the gifts and the attention to really good art. And the Vanderbilts, the Mellons, the Rockefellers, all of those people gave us incredible collections which make up the marvelous museums that we have today. And what I'm getting around to is the way public art is selected. Today, because we are a democracy, we think that everybody has to have a say in the art that we have and that we look at. Well, that's not particularly healthy. Democracy is not particularly healthy for the arts. The people who made decisions about what we look at are people who have a good eye. And, right here in Texas, those of you who remember Patsy Nasher, Patsy Nasher had one heck of an eye. She could look at something and say, that's an incredible work of art. And then she'd say, Raymond, you got to buy this. And so you have the Nasher collection right here, and it's remarkable. In other parts of the country, and I met Ray Nasher and Patsy along with Martin Margulies down in Miami. I met them all on the same evening. And they were walking around the Margulies collection, and Marty was showing the Nashers pieces that he had just gotten. And so I got to meet them. And they both families were so passionate about what they collected and what they had. And their scholarship was just amazing. They knew every work they had. And when I met the Nashers and Mr. Margulies that night, they both started saying, well, I just saw your piece in Fort Worth. I just saw your piece. And they were calling my pieces by the names of the sculptures. I don't remember the names of my sculptures. So I was very impressed by Patsy Nasher and Marty Margulies. The way public art is chosen today is by committee. And the way it's generally done, the architect's involved, which is okay. Most times that's okay. Sometimes architects are frustrated artists themselves. And especially I've been involved with several projects with some very well-known architects, Frank Gehry being one. And sometimes you lock horns with them because they certainly don't want you doing something in front of their building that would overshadow what they've done. So there's a little bit of competition there, and a lot of architects kind of think of themselves as sculptors, and some are. Some are very good sculptors. Frank Gehry is probably a better sculptor than he is an architect. It's hard to deal with his buildings sometimes in a physical sense, but they're incredibly beautiful. So he's a good example of somebody who probably should have been a sculptor rather than an architect. The selection process is where things kind of, in my opinion, very much kind of fall apart from time to time, because you have the architect, and then you have probably the engineer, that's okay too. Things have to stand up, and it's good that you have an architect that can look at art and tell what won't stand up and what will. And then you have the quote-unquote user. Now, the user can be an accounting firm, and somebody representing the accounting firm is on the committee to select the artist. That's where I start to having a problem. And then it goes downhill from there. There's all other kinds of situations where they bring other people to sit on these committees. So what I'm saying is that you have a selection process by committee, and it's really hard it's really hard to come to a really good decision by committee. It's better if there's a dictator. It's better, it's better if there's somebody that really knows what they're doing and said, this is what you need. So that's kind of where I have a problem with a lot of selection committees. And of course, if the selection committees don't like my work, then that's why I don't like them. So, but anyhow, public art is a great thing, and I think it's good for cities that involve themselves in public art, and some of them really do it well. Some don't do it so well. I can tell you stories about my own experience over the last 35 or 40 years. One in particular, the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a museum there called the Mint Museum, and it gets its name because it was once an early U.S. mint. And it's an old Federalist architecture building, and at least the original museum. They built on wings now, and it's fabulous. But when they commissioned me to do a piece for the front of that Federalist building, first of all, I was a contemporary sculptor doing things that were not recognizable, and I was not dealing with the figure. And the committee selected me, and I went out and looked at the space, and it was a beautiful space. And I started working on the piece and built it. And then when we hauled it there and started to erect it, Charlotte, North Carolina came unglued. They hated it. They hated it. I generated 2 inches thick of newsprint over a period of about a year and a half. And the curator who had introduced me to the director got fired. The director eventually lost his job, and the museum tried to deacquisition the piece. They tried to get rid of it, and they had gotten NEA funds, National Endowment for the Arts, matching funds to purchase the piece. And the NEA told them if they deacquisitioned the piece, they would never get another NEA grant. Thank God for the NEA. And so they moved the piece around back of the museum. And so in the back of the museum, there were 2 sets of pieces. There were my piece, and then there were the dumpsters. And so I was in good company. But the story continues. About 15 years later, the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, came to the museum and said, would you consider giving us that piece? Because we're going to start a sculpture garden on the campus. And they said, oh, yes, we'd be happy to give it to you. And so they agreed to give the piece to the University of North Carolina. And then there was a little process of exchanging, giving them the piece. They had to get it appraised. And so they got an appraisal back, and they found out what the piece was worth. And the museum said, why don't we just loan it to you? Because it was now worth something, a whole lot more than they had paid for it. They figured it looked good on their books. So the piece is now at the University of North Carolina and at Charlotte, but it still belongs to the Mint Museum. Now, that's kind of a horror story that ended up with a good ending. But the other interesting part about that is that the director of that museum at the time and the curator both went on to other institutions. And maybe 7 or 8 years after they had both left, I'd kind of lost touch with them. The curator had become the director of the museum in Springfield, Missouri. And the director of the Mint became the director of another museum. They both called me within about maybe 3 weeks of each other And it was not coordinated because they hadn't been speaking to each other, but they both called me within about 3 weeks of each other and said, John, we've got some NEA funds, and we'd like to know if you would consider doing a commission for us. And I thought to myself, these guys are really stupid. They want to go through all that again. But I did a piece for both places, and both were terribly successful, and there were no problems at all. So it just goes to show you how things can be strange. Another story about public art. One of the earliest public art projects in this country was the Interstate 80 I-80 project in Nebraska. The state of Nebraska put aside some money to put pieces along the interstate in the rest areas. And so I was the first artist selected to do one of those rest areas. So I flew out to Lincoln, Nebraska, or someplace, I can't remember, and went to see this site in a rest area on the interstate. It was actually pretty nice. And then I went back and I sat down with the committee. And the committee started asking me questions about what I was going to do about graffiti when that would happen on the piece in these rest areas. I said, what do you mean, what am I going to do? I said, this is going to be your sculpture. And they said, well, we've got to consider graffiti. So they asked, and what about liability? And what about all these other questions? And I said, ladies and gentlemen, these are your problems. You're going to own the sculpture. And I'm not going to be able to run out to Nebraska every time somebody scribbles something on the sculpture. And so, they argued with me a bit. I didn't get the job because I asked, I didn't answer the questions right. And the project finally went on through, and they interviewed other artists, and other artists, friends of mine, got the jobs. And I was very happy for them, but but it didn't work for me. So that was another kind of situation. There have been some incredibly good projects, and the one here in Dallas most recently, Craig Hall, who's a developer and an incredible art collector and very passionate about what he collects, bought the Tatlin Sentinel piece from me, which is downtown at Ross and Leonard. He bought that from me like 8 years ago, and he wanted it to go to Napa Valley, where he had a winery, and the piece is 104 feet high. There's nothing in Napa Valley that tall, and so I went out there and looked at the site, and it just was wrong. And Frank Gehry was the architect. Frank didn't like the idea, and neither did I. I happened to agree with him that time. And so we talked Craig Hall into not using that piece in Napa Valley, and so I stored it for him for 7 years. And then he built the building downtown here, and we put the piece across the street, and it works great there. And he's going on to, for those of you who don't know the plan there's going to be 3 more large buildings there where the parking lot is and where all of that vacant land is. So that piece will kind of be the centerpiece of those various buildings that he's going to put up there. So, and working with Craig Hall has been incredible. He's a great patron, and he's really passionate about the art, and he likes artists, and we like him. So it's the perfect relationship. So that's kind of really all I have to say about public art. And, like I said in the beginning, it's kind of can be a love-hate relationship. But I've dedicated myself to it for many, many years, and will continue to do so. The problems with public art is dealing with municipalities and all of the red tape and stuff that goes into dealing with regulators and all that sort of thing. And that's the hard part for me, and I think it's hard for all of us. But, you know, it's life. And if you want to live the life, you got to go play the game. So that's about all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Fascinating. Mr. Henry, didn't you tell me that this piece downtown, they drilled 80 feet down to bedrock? Is that correct? So you talked a little bit about weather here in Dallas, and it's in there, people. It's staying. It's staying. Can we ask you to come back up with Mr. Cruz and Jennifer? We have a little thank you gift for you. Very tiny. Not anything like that piece. Now, we've all been waiting for this. We had 100, and wait for it, 77 entries this year. 100, yes, clap for that. All right, so 177 pieces of art. Last year we had 160. The year before that, we had 131. So we're doing something right, everybody. This is great. Thank you all. And I do say this every year because it's always typed out on my scripts, but I know for a fact that the judges had an extremely difficult time with what they were tasked to do on Friday, April 1st. So Brian and I and Angela and Kevin set up the show on Tuesday of this week. By the time we removed the barriers from the hallway, I had tons of residents coming to say, Denise, this show is just outstanding. So I just really, again, want to thank the winners and the participants. Thank you. All right, so let's get at it. Our first category that we're going to award is drawing. In first place for Florencia by Cassandra or Cassie Curry, art completed at age 55. In second place, Insight by Kay Hoffmeister, art completed at age 70. Feel free to clap. Yes, yes, yes. In third place, Jason at Parkland Station by Mary Fuhrer, art completed at age 60.
All right, now in the fiber arts category, our first place winner, called Dresden Plates, is by Karen Martin, art completed at 71. All right, second place winner, The Texas Arc by Ruth Anderson, art completed at age 56. And third place, Water Lily by Karen Martin, art completed at age 71.
Next, on to our group projects. First place, Love Makes the World Go Round by the residents of the Cove Memory Care at CC Young. Art completed at age 80 to 99. Margaret Morell, one of our favorite people, is up with Aaron, who is our Life Enrichment Director here at CC Young. Second place. Now wait, everybody, okay, here we go. IYBIYCNI. If you buy it, you can name it. By the Woodies of CC Young, James Anthony, age 83. Fred Kristen, age 86. John Gould, age 90. Lawrence Hodge, 81. Charles Smith, 79. Woo-woo! In third place, we have Birdhouses of Spring by the residents of Lawther Point West, second floor here at CC Young. The art, get this, was completed by all of the residents from 79 to 101 years of age. And Janet Cohen on our Life Enrichment team. We're going to mix up the program just a tiny bit since Estelle is with us. We started last year celebrating ageless creativity, which is actually part of our mission and our vision here at CC Young. So we have started a Celebrating Ageless Creativity Award, and it goes to the person that is the oldest who has participated. And it's Estelle Slater at age 101.
I think that deserves a little standing ovation. What do you think? Way to go, Estelle. If you can stand. Wow. So we're now under our hard crafts category. In first place, we have Raku Vase by Tina Anderson, art completed at age 57. In second place, Untitled by Andy Anderson, art completed at age 62. Mrs. Anderson accepting for Andy. In third place, Christmas Dinner Centerpiece by Tina Anderson, age completed at 59.
Moving on to the metal sculpture category. First place, Cowboy in Barb Corral by Harold Smith, art completed at age 74. He won second place with his piece called Cowboy on Oil Pump Cage. So we need to give him one more round of applause for both awards. Third place, Beachcombing by Annalise Carver, art completed at age 74.
All right, our next category is miscellaneous. And in first place, we have Fire Art Healer, and that's by Amy Marks. She created this piece of art at age 60. And in second place, Udu Drum by Bill Tucker, art created at age 73. And then third place, we have Whimsical Fruit on Wood by Art Mueller, age completed at 85.
We have a mixed media category, Kookaburras, Patsy Davila, who won first place, and she completed this art at age 61. In second place, we have Gem of a Bird by Nancy Roberts, art completed at age 76. Third place, Generations Sisters. She completed the art at age 71.
The painting acrylic category on canvas. Our first place winner is 1902 by Dot Winchester, art completed at age 55. Second place, we had Warrior Spirit by Carolina Marrero, art completed at age 76. Third place, we have Into the Light by Mary Jackman, art completed at age 76.
Next to the painting on acrylic on paper category. First place, Boat on Swiss Lake by Carol Keller, art completed at age 75. And unfortunately, our second place winner is not here today. She's moved to Winnsboro. Valerie Guignon has won second place with Night Moods 1 and 2. So please let's give her a round of applause.
Okay, and now we're on to painting oil and oil pastel on canvas. Our first place winner is When David Heard by Michael Gillespie, art completed at age 65. All right, in second place, Walkway at the Alamo by our own Norma Mitchell, art completed at age 59. In third place, we have My Memories by Janice Hamilton, art completed at age 78.
Moving on to the painting watercolor or acrylic on paper. Jackie Wacker, first place, Springtime. She completed the art at age 74. Margaret Morell, second place, Blue Greenhouse. She did the piece at age 85. So let's bring Jackie Wacker back on up. She won third place with Woven Magnolia, and she did it at age 73.
Okay, our next category is photography. And in first place, we have Dallas Juxtaposition by Teresa Venable, art completed at age 56. Second place, Fun with Drums by John Lovelace, art completed at age 84. In third place, Boot Hill, Montana by Al Curry, art completed at age 61.
So we're moving on to poetry. Let's bring up Bobby Lou Turrentine. She won first place with, this is great, My Chocolate Addiction, and she wrote it at age 82. So she's standing there and not going back to her seat because she won second place for A Place in My Heart. She wrote it at age 78. Now, third place for 757 by Maxine J. Funk. She completed her writing at age 69.
Okay, on to the prose category. Our first place winner, The Fan by Miss Nita Clyde, writing completed at age 75. In second place, we have Making Amends by Marie Green, writing completed at age 75. Third place, One Mean Parrot by Ted Searcy, writing completed at age 86.
Our next category is wood turning via lathe. First place, Bowl with Lid by Charlie Oldfield, art completed at age 90. Now, he'll be holding 2 awards very shortly. He won second place with Lamp, and he did it at age 92. Third place, Native American Flute, F sharp. Mr. Tucker created that at age 60.
Everyone here who participated in the show really does deserve an award, and wish that we had a way to do that, but being that this is a contest, here we go. But we have 4 very special awards that I have the pleasure of announcing. The first is Best in Show for a member of the general public, and that award goes to Amy Marks for Fire Art Healer. That art was completed at age 60. And the next award goes for Best in Show for a Point Member. The winner is Cassandra Curry for Valencia. Art completed at age 55. For Best in Show, Resident, Margaret Murrell for Blue Green House, completed at age 85. So we do celebrate each and every one of you and our artists and writers who participated this year through the Art Gallery show. So help us by telling your friends and family about this amazing event and 177-piece exhibit. Do check in on Facebook, like us, take pictures, and make suggestions if you have other artists or if you're someone who thinks you might be a perfect person to exhibit here at the Point. Let me know.
I get to close everything up today. I'm sad now. We've worked really hard on this. We're so thrilled that each one of you have been here to share, to see, to listen, to learn, and to love what we do here at CC Young. I want to take the time to thank Mr. John Henry. Truly, thank you. Since this building is open to the general public 7 days a week, as Brian just said, we have 177 pieces of artwork and writing that are now public art. So enjoy, be safe going home, and we love you. Thanks.